General Hospital. Chase crushes Michael's alibi. Jacinda's explosive bombshell. General Hospital Detective Harrison Chase, Josh Swickard, is determined to destroy Michael Corinthos's, Rory Gibson, alibi. That means he needs to discredit Jacinda Bracken, Paige Herschel, and prove she was not with Michael at the time of the shooting. We're going to talk about where Jacinda was and who she was really with when Drew Kane Quartermaine, Cameron Matheson, was shot. Because we all know she was not with Michael. General Hospital. Chase is on the case. So right now, Chase is busy investigating Willow Tate's, Caitlin McMullen, case in his free time. Even though the PCPD has decided that Willow is the shooter. Chase strongly believes that his ex-wife Willow is incapable of trying to kill somebody. Chase also insists that Willow is a good person and a loving mom and has no history of violence. Meanwhile, Chase knows full well that Michael does have a history of violence and he has killed someone before. If you recall, as a young man, Michael bludgeoned his stepmother Claudia Zachara, Sarah Joy Brown, to death. But she had it coming. Michael only did it to stop Claudia from kidnapping his baby sister, Jocelyn Jacks, Eden McCoy. Despite that, Michael was convicted and sent to Pentonville. General Hospital. Michael raised in the mob. Plus, he was raised by mobster Sonny Corinthos, Maurice Bernard, and exposed to violence his whole life, literally from the cradle. Because his first surrogate dad was hitman Jason Morgan, Steve Burton. So, yeah, Chase thinks Michael is capable of shooting his Uncle Drew. And he also thinks Michael is capable of framing Willow. And at least half of that is true. So, Chase made it his personal mission to get justice for Willow, even though his wife Brooke Lynn Quartermaine, Amanda Seton, isn't happy about it. Neither is Dante Falconeri, Dominic Zamprogna. And some other people that are close to him don't like it either. Unraveling Michael's alibi on GH. Is Ezra Boyle the secret client? Recently, Chase told Alexis Davis, Nancy Lee Grahn, that he's been digging into Michael's alibi. And she is happy about that. Chase is certain that Jacinda is lying to cover for Michael. And Chase suspects she was with another client when Drew was shot. And that means she cannot be Michael's alibi. Right now, Chase wants to find Jacinda's client and destroy Michael's alibi. That will take Willow from the top suspect that the PCPD has and force them to look at Michael. Because why arrange a fake alibi from ex-callgirl Jacinda unless you're guilty? I feel like Port Charles City Councilman and mayoral candidate Ezra Boyle, Daniel Cosgrove, is back on the General Hospital canvas for a reason right now. And yeah, I know it's election time in Port Charles. And he and Laura Spencer, Jeannie Francis, are in a tight race, but I think there's more to him being back. I suspect Ezra is the one Jacinda was with when Drew was shot. Ezra's connection to Jacinda on General Hospital. So, if you recall, when Jacinda first came on the General Hospital scene, she was introduced as Ezra's favorite escort. And that was back when Nina Reeves, Cynthia Watrose, and Portia Robinson, Brooke Kerr, had the bright idea to hire Jacinda to drug Drew with ketamine and party with him in public. Jacinda had Drew doing body shots off of her while everybody was filming and snapping pics. And that resulted in tawdry headlines, as they hoped, but it eventually blew up in their faces. Since Jacinda was Ezra's favorite working girl, he may be a little bummed that she quit being a call girl and took Michael's offer to work at Crimson magazine, but I don't think that's enough for him to come clean. But Ezra is the likely client that Jacinda was with, but exposing this would cause some big ripples. Political fallout. How the shooting investigation could derail the mayoral election. Since Chase is working so hard to find Jacinda's mystery client, I bet he's going to put the pieces together soon. If Chase mentions to Nina that he's trying to break Michael's alibi and is looking for Jacinda's client, Nina might be able to help him out. Because I'm pretty sure that she knows about Jacinda and Ezra. So once Chase pulls that thread, it's all going to fall apart for Michael. Not only could Chase save Willow from going to prison for a crime she didn't commit, but Chase could actually save Laura's re-election campaign right as things are looking really dire for her. Recently, she skipped the mayoral debate. Because her grandson Rocco Falconeri, Finn Carr, was arrested for breaking into Professor Hank Dalton's, Daniel Goddard, lab. And Ezra is going to make a big deal of Laura skipping the debate to deal with her criminal grandson, who is also the grandson of crime boss Sonny. He'll make it look really bad. So if Chase reveals that Jacinda was with Ezra when Drew was shot, well, that should ruin Ezra's mayoral campaign. He won't have the excuse of being on ketamine when he was doing body shots and whatnot with Jacinda like Drew did. So that means Chase may also actually save the day for Laura and she'll be re-elected as mayor. So, that would kinda be Chase doing top-notch service for his community. A bittersweet outcome for Drew and Michael's crumbling defense on GH. It would be ironic because it would be a bittersweet outcome for Drew. A good news, bad news thing. Good news because Drew will be happy that Michael has no alibi for the shooting, and Drew can go ahead with falsely accusing Michael. Because he'll have no defense for where he was because he was right outside the house. Also good news because Willow would be off the hook and that's what Drew wants. But it's also bad news for Drew. Because his sleazy pal Ezra won't be elected mayor and can't be Drew's local minion to do his bidding. But I'm betting that Drew would rather have Michael in prison and Willow exonerated than have the mayor in his pocket. Now, unless another hint is dropped, I feel sure Ezra is going to turn out to be the mystery client that Chase is looking for. The other day when Michael asked Jacinda if anybody can contradict her alibi for him, she looked a little squirrely, but she didn't say anything. And I do think that she lied to Michael. And Jacinda probably thinks it'll never come out. Because there's no way Ezra would confess and break her alibi that she's giving him. Because that would ruin his political career. In fact, Chase may scare up some hard evidence like catching Jacinda and Ezra on a surveillance camera, going into a hotel at that time, or going into his apartment, something indisputable. Because Ezra wouldn't cooperate. Professional and personal consequences. Will Chase's investigation lead to hadn't felt this tense since the last time a Corinthos stood accused of something unthinkable. But this time, the name dominating every whispered conversation in Kelly's, the Metro Court, and GH wasn't Sonny or Carly. It was Michael Corinthos, the man known for his calm head and moral compass, now caught in the middle of a scandal he never saw coming. And the person unraveling his carefully woven truth? Detective Harrison Chase. A break in the case. The PCPD's squad room buzzed like a kicked hornet's nest when Chase stepped in that morning. A manila folder tucked under his arm and a grim expression etched across his face. Dante looked up from his desk, immediately sensing the weight in his partner's eyes. "You found something," Dante said. Chase exhaled. "I found enough." He placed the folder down, revealing surveillance stills that made Dante's brows shoot up. "This can't be right," Dante muttered. "Oh, it's right," Chase replied. "Michael's alibi doesn't just have holes, it's shredded." Michael's story falls apart. Michael had sworn up and down he'd been at the Quartermain mansion the night of the incident, when corporate rival Austin Sneed was assaulted outside the Harborview Towers garage. A beating severe enough to put him in a coma, though the motive remained as murky as the Hudson River on a stormy night. Michael claimed he'd been home with Willow, reviewing ELQ documents, and had never left the house. But Chase's discovered evidence said otherwise. Security footage from a city-owned traffic camera caught a familiar car, Michael's distinctive black SUV, heading downtown just minutes before the assault. Worse yet, the SUV returned roughly 10 minutes after the attack window closed, speeding and swerving as if its driver was rattled. Dante rubbed his forehead. "We bring this to Jordan and she'll have no choice but to question him." "Question," Chase said. "She might arrest him." The visit to Michael. Michael Corinthos had endured prison, corporate battles, family feuds, and the weight of being Sonny Corinthos' son. But when Chase and Dante arrived at the Quartermain mansion, the cool certainty faded from his eyes. "What's going on?" Michael asked tightly as they stepped into the foyer. Chase set a printout on the table. "Your SUV was spotted downtown the night Austin Sneed was attacked. We need an explanation." Willow appeared at the top of the stairs, sensing the tension. "Michael?" He squeezed her hand, but his jaw twitched. "I wasn't driving," Michael insisted. "Someone else must have taken it." Chase raised a brow. "Who? And why leave your security detail completely unaware?" Michael hesitated just long enough to make Willow's stomach twist. Dante stepped forward gently. "Look, we want the truth. We're your family. But this evidence is real. If you're covering for someone—" "I'm not," Michael snapped. But Chase had seen that look before. It was the same one Michael had worn years ago when protecting Joss and the family from Nellie's twisted games. Chase exchanged a knowing glance with Dante. Something bigger was being hidden. Enter Jacinda, Port Charles's new wild card. Just when things looked like they couldn't get messier, Jacinda Hartwell walked into the police station later that afternoon. The newcomer to Port Charles had blown in 6 months prior, taking a job at the Metro Court and keeping mostly to herself, until now. She approached Jordan's office tentatively. I need to speak to a detective. It's about the Sneed case. Jordan, overhearing, gestured her inside. Chase, passing by, stopped as soon as he heard the name Michael Corinthos leave Jacinda's lips. He stepped in. I'm Chase. Tell me what you know. Jacinda looked rattled. I wasn't going to come forward, but I saw Michael that night. Chase's pulse kicked. Where? Jacinda swallowed hard. Behind the towers. Near the garage. I was leaving the Metro Court after a late shift. He was arguing with some guy I didn't recognize. I couldn't hear all of it, but it sounded bad. Alarm bells rang. This was a direct contradiction to Michael's alibi. Are you willing to give an official statement? Chase asked. Jacinda nodded. I don't want trouble. But that man. He looked furious. And now hearing someone got attacked. She paused, voice trembling. It's what pushed me to come in. Chase knew what this meant. Michael's story wasn't just shaky now. It was in ruins. Willow confronts Michael. Willow found Michael pacing in the Quartermain den, phone in hand, attempting damage control with Diane. Michael, stop, Willow said firmly. Did you or did you not leave the house that night? Michael froze. She stepped closer. We don't lie to each other. Not anymore. Michael exhaled heavily, his shoulders collapsing under the weight of a secret he'd kept buried. I went to meet someone, he confessed quietly. But it wasn't Sneed. And I had nothing to do with the attack. Who did you meet? He shook his head. I can't say. Not yet. Willow closed her eyes, sinking into a nearby chair. Michael, whatever this is, it's spiraling. Chase says your SUV was downtown. Now someone says they saw you fighting with a man. Michael's head snapped up. Who? Some woman named Jacinda Hartwell.